But if he doesn't want members to visit, maybe he can respectfully decline the billions of dollars that we give to Israel.
After Israel said they would block Congresswoman Rashida Tlaib and Ilhan Omar from entering the country because of their criticisms of Israel's human rights abuses and their support of the BDS movement, Bernie Sanders appears to be the only 2020 candidate that is actually offering a potential course of action here, and not just about a course of action regarding Rashida Tlaib and Ilhan Omar, but about Israel's human rights abuses and the leverage that America has over Israel. Watch.
The idea that a member of the United States Congress cannot visit a nation, which, by the way, we support to the tune of billions and billions of dollars, is clearly an outrage. And if Israel doesn't want members of the United States Congress to visit their country to get a firsthand look at what's going on, and I've been there many, many times, but if he doesn't want members to visit, maybe he can respectfully decline the billions of dollars that we give to Israel.
Over time, in excess of $140 billion. Last year alone, $3 billion in various types of aid. You've actually suggested that might be used to leverage some of Israel's behavior that Representatives Omar and Tlaib are critical of, as you've been critical of.
Well, all that I am saying is that we need a Middle East policy which is even-handed, which protects the independence and the safety of Israel, but also shows respect to the Palestinian people, many of whom in Gaza and elsewhere are suffering incredibly. Unemployment rate off the charts. People cannot leave their community. And I think what the United States should be doing, especially with the enormous amount of money we're spending there, is to demand that Israel and the Palestinian leadership sit down and start working out their differences and create peace in that troubled region.
So Bernie is exactly right. Once again, this is something that he's actually brought up before, and I'm going to show a clip of that later on in this video. But this isn't the first time he's brought this issue up of the amount of aid that America gives to Israel, and yet they continue committing human rights abuses against the Palestinian people and are even going as far as blocking congresswomen from entering the country. So no other candidate has raised this point. And just to give you, look, I've discussed this countless times, so I'm not going to go over many of the details of the human rights abuses that Israel has, that the Israeli government has committed. But I'm just going to give you a couple headlines here, and I'll also link to these articles below this video. So this from the Human Rights Watch. Israel, 50 years of occupation abuses. UN, Israel violated human rights in Palestine. Israeli violations may constitute war crimes or crimes against humanity, says UN Commissioner. Now, again, I'll link to those articles below the video so you can go into the details and read it for yourself. Now, just how much aid does America give to Israel? Well, take a look at the top 10 countries receiving the most aid from the U.S. You have Israel at number 3 with $3.2 billion. Now, number 1 and number 2 are kind of self-explanatory. I mean, Afghanistan and Iraq. Obviously, the American military engagements in those countries constitute the need for that sort of aid spent. But $3.2 billion in aid to Israel, who is committing human rights abuses against Palestinians. I mean, obviously, that aid should be used as leverage against Israel. So either you clean your act up and come together and actually try to form a solution to this issue in the region, or you don't get the money. I mean, it's absurd that this is the amount of money Israel is getting while they are continuing to commit these human rights abuses towards the Palestinian people. Now, I also want to show you a response here from AOC that I think perfectly paints why Bernie is unique, or how Bernie is unique in this sense. One thing that is completely undeniable about Bernie Sanders is the enormous political courage he consistently wields on behalf of others. This statement is a big deal. He's not just standing up for 2 members. He's standing up for the integrity of the entire U.S. Congress. So, Bernie is the only candidate with a foreign policy that actually puts humanity first. And he's the only candidate that is willing to call out these sorts of abuses that, Israel is considered a friend of America, yet when your friend is committing human rights abuses, it should be your job as the U.S. government to attempt to mitigate that, to solve that problem, to put pressure on your friend to not commit those abuses. And Bernie is the only leader, or is the only candidate right now in the 2020 race calling this out directly with a course of action. He is the only candidate with an actual progressive foreign policy that, again, puts humanity first. Now, before I go here, I want to show this other video, as I was alluding to earlier, of Bernie Sanders discussing this before when he was on the Pod Save America podcast.
You've been very critical of Bibi Netanyahu and the Israeli government. We spend a few $1 billion on aid to Israel. Would you ever consider using that aid as leverage to get the Israeli government to act differently?
Absolutely. Absolutely.
Yeah.
I mean, we are giving large sums of money. Look, let me back it up before the tweets start flowing in. I lived in Israel.
Yeah.
Actually, I worked in a kibbutz for a number of months. I have family in Israel. I am Jewish. I am not anti-Israel. Okay, I believe that the people of Israel have absolutely the right to live in peace, independence, and security. End of discussion. That is what I fervently believe. But I think what has happened is, in recent years under Netanyahu, you have an extreme right-wing government with many racist tendencies. The role of the United States, and this is not easy, I believe me, Clinton tried it, Obama tried it, Jimmy Carter tried it. This is not easy stuff, is to try to finally bring peace to the Middle East and to treat the Palestinian people with the kind of respect and dignity they deserve. Our policy cannot just be pro-Israel, pro-Israel, pro-Israel. It has got to be pro-region, working with all of the people, all of the countries in that area.
So Bernie's message on this has been consistent. This is not just about Rashida Tlaib and Ilhan Omar being blocked from entering Israel. This is about a humanitarian message. This is about the Israeli government's human rights abuses. And again, there is so much power in a Jewish American like Bernie Sanders saying this. So, when Rashida Tlaib and Ilhan Omar critique the Israeli government, they're criticized for being anti-Semitic, which is hilarious. I mean, the idea that criticizing what a government is doing is somehow anti-Semitic. No, it's about what the government is doing. But Bernie, being Jewish American, is able to get past those ridiculous anti-Semitic critiques and really, bring home the issue or push home the issue that this is about the government's human rights abuses and the leverage that America has with all the aid they give Israel, the leverage that America has over Israel to potentially change what is going on in that region. Again, showcasing why Bernie Sanders is the only choice in this Democratic primary.